day one of a government shutdown.
It began at 1 minute past midnight.
We are in this remarkable game of chicken.
The result of Republicans and Democrats failing to make a deal.
The big question is, how long will this shutdown last?
The nation waking up to the mudslinging of a ferocious political blame game.
The bill is not passed.
And Donald Trump, instead of acting like an adult, is the most immature president we have ever had.
All that seems to matter is that their far-left base sees them fighting against President Trump.
He is using the American people as pawns.
While Democrats are holding the federal government hostage.
So how did we get here? To pass a budget in the US requires a supermajority in the Senate, 60 out of 100 votes, making this the one time that the minority party has real political leverage. Democrats say this is about Donald Trump's plans to cut healthcare support for the poorest Americans. But if you listen to what they say, it is clear that this is about more than Medicaid. It is about fighting back against a much broader agenda.
We have to put a stop to it, and we have to stop enabling their abuse of power.
We should not willingly pay the bills for the most serious assault on political freedom since the Civil War.
A 35-day partial shutdown in 2019 cost the US economy $3 billion. This time, some 750,000 federal employees could be furloughed, including many in education, cybersecurity and health, where there are worries it will affect public safety. Many parks will open without staff, but museums may be forced to close. Some court hearings will be affected. Essential workers like troops and air traffic controllers won't be paid, but will keep working. The trains will run and Social Security payments will continue.
I just wondered how you could justify allowing this shutdown to happen.
We didn't have a single shutdown during the Biden administration. You know why? Because when Democrats were in the majority, we negotiated with Republicans. We sat down and negotiated with them. We listened to them.
But you did argue at the time, the White House has pointed out that a shutdown is not a time to debate health policy, for example.
Right, because you negotiate before the shutdown, and Republicans have refused to negotiate before the shutdown. The way you avoid a shutdown is to have a real negotiation.
Horrible shutdown.
Donald Trump, meanwhile, has been on a journey.
If there is a shutdown, I think it would be a tremendously negative mark on the President of the United States. He's the one that has to get people together.
But he isn't taking the blame now. It's all the fault of the Democrats.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like.
Trump's threats, including to sack federal workers, make this shutdown feel different. He says Democrats want free healthcare for illegal aliens. They say undocumented immigrants are not eligible for the schemes. This showdown is what many core Democratic voters want to see.
They see an existential crisis in the country, not just obviously with funding, but with the fact that should they vote for funding, they're actually being complicit with what the government is doing.
But politicians will soon be forced to consider the views of those far beyond their base as the shutdown affects lives and swing voters decide who they blame.
Well, the Republican strategist Rena Shah joins us from Washington now. It's the question of who those affected blame, isn't it, that's key? And do you think that will just fall along the current political lines?
I think we have to see the major figure here, the figure who is President Trump sitting in the executive branch there. You know, the shutdown is a high stakes wake up call just 9 months into his second term. It's the first real test of whether the drain the swamp rhetoric really means efficient governance or endless gridlock. And if it drags on like the 35-day fiasco we saw between December of 2018 and January of 2019, that tanked his approval rating by some 7 points. What he risks right now is alienating independents and suburban voters who handed him the win last year, especially with 750,000 federal workers now furloughed and services like food inspections grinding to a halt. It's hard to find a silver lining, but there is one here. And it's with full Republican control. Trump really has the leverage to force a clean, continuing resolution through, and then he can sideline this Affordable Care Act fight for later. And he can then.
But doesn't that leave him with a political problem next year because people's health insurance premiums are going to go up?
Right. By some 20%. And that is what New York Senator Chuck Schumer talks about. But at the center of this fight is really what Republicans want. They want egg on the face of Democrats. And essentially, Trump wants to come out here looking like a deal maker, somebody who can protect paychecks. Right now, in this moment, the rhetoric, while it's red hot, what we're hearing from Republicans is saying that this shutdown, though Republicans control the legislative branch and the executive branch, they are saying that this is a shutdown that is purely on the doorstep of Democrats. It is their fault that they've created this.
And how effective do you think this claim is that the Democrats want to give health care to illegal immigrants? I mean, it's not true, but do people believe it?
Yes, the claim has been debunked, even though we heard Vice President Vance talk about it from the White House just within the past hour. It's almost mind-boggling to believe that lies are just being accepted as truth. We will have a far greater swath of Americans nowadays, given our hyper-polarized climate, who believe that that is fact. Again, it is not. This shutdown is about those provisions related to the Affordable Care Act. Democrats are trying to have, it seems, an earnest conversation while Republicans are looking to gain political points. Now, what this is about, though, is about the Democrats owning the obstruction. Do they want to do that at a certain point, or do they want to wait until the point at which Republicans, because they are the incumbents, Republicans look like they are at fault for this? I think right now anybody can call the bluff of the Republicans, but the greatest risk here is that we are a year out from the midterm elections. And if this thing lingers past the 1 to 3 week mark, then we get close to the holiday season. And again, Republicans look like they are the losers here.
Right. I mean, what do you make of the Democrat strategy, though? I mean, a lot of people are saying this is because they screwed up earlier in the year and didn't take on healthcare when they should have done.
I actually believe in that. I think the Democrats should own their mistake there, that they were a day late and $1 short on this battle. You hear Democrat senators saying that the Republicans are not coming to the table. They're not willing to have an earnest conversation. Well, guess what, Democrats, you could have done this far sooner than now. I think what the Democrats do fear, though, is the risk of voter backlash here. Drain the swamp was, again, this key phrase that won Trump the White House twice. He promised leaner government. His March fact sheets, for example, touted that he was cutting ineffective programs. And what we see now is that this crisis is exposing a split here. MAGA is cheering, eradicating the deep state. And so how are Democrats going to counter that? Anybody's guess.
Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.